Today on Substance Stories, we're going to be talking about the importance of meaningful social connections and how they can enrich our lives. Today on Substance Stories, we're going to do part 2 of our good mental health program. So remember, there's a difference in mental health and mental illness. Mental health is like physical health. It's something we are doing to make sure that we are less likely to get a mental illness, or if we have one, it is more likely to be well managed. It's things that make our life more enriching. I want to talk about meaningful social relationships. So there's an old saying in addiction, there's the opposite of addiction isn't no addiction, it's social connection. And I really think this is a really valid idea. So, and why I chuck the meaningful social relationships is because I think that especially in today's world with social media, vapidness seemingly always on the rise, there is a lack of meaningful social connections. So I'm not talking about social connections, I'm talking about meaningful social connections. And a meaningful social connection is a relationship I have with someone where I am my true self, I am vulnerable, and we exchange true emotional ideas together. I think they are really important. And I think that one of the things we lose really quickly in addiction is meaningful social relationships. So our relationships tend to be with people who use or who are drinking, and that's the main thing tying us together. And addiction makes us strange bedfellows. We end up hanging out with people we don't like, but we know that they've got gear or they like to drink as much as we do, and so it's easier. And what we need to do is replace that with meaningful social relationships. A great way to do that would be, 12 steps, where it's this crew and we get this great peer support. But I'm a big fan, and I love 12 steps, but I'm a big fan of social relationships outside of that. I think we all need a third place. A third place is a concept of, we have our work, we have our home, we need a third place that is neither so we can socialize. Well, I think we need that with recovery. We need our peer groups, our social supports from that perspective, but we also need an activity, a social relationship that is abstinent-based, but not based around abstinence. So it needs to be something that we are doing where we're making social connections, and it is an abstinent activity, but the goal is not abstinence. So a great example of this would be a sports club, although it can be tricky because the drinking culture, especially in Australia around sports clubs, is really tricky. But it can be a chess club, a Rotary club, Toastmasters, can join the Masons, a community choir. That I think that, there are all these wonderful social groups out there that I think that, especially the younger generations, we sort of palm off as sort of old fogey stuff, but they're out there and they're these great supports. And I think that if we engage with them, we can find them truly enriching. Gyms are another fantastic source, especially MMA gyms for some reason. I've never been to an MMA gym where someone hasn't tried to be my friend. They're a very friendly place. The other thing we can do is we can reframe our existing friendships. So there's this, there's need in Australia when you want to catch up with a friend. Often someone will say, well, let's grab a beer or let's grab a drink. But obviously when we're in recovery, that's the opposite of what we want. In fact, I would argue even if we're not in recovery, that's the opposite of what we want, because how much meaningful social interaction do we have over a beer? When I was in my mid-20s, what I did was I actually changed how I interact with people. Instead of saying, let's get a beer, I would say to my friends, let's go for a walk. Let's go see the ducks in the park or something. An activity where we're both doing something together. It's really easy to connect with someone when you're both facing the same way and you're doing a shared activity. So I love a long walk with a friend and catching up and talking about our lives and how we're going. I think it's really key for all of us, whether we're in recovery or whether we just want to improve our mental health, to build on meaningful social relationships in our lives. I really hope you do so. I really hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for listening.